Hello, this is Greg Allison with Green Greg's coming to you live on the 16th of November, 21. Time on deck is 21:21 hours Central Daylight Time, Central Standard Time, excuse me. I have a special guest tonight, Doug Thompson. He's been on this channel before, and tonight we're going to talk about the prospects for World War III, mostly focusing on Europe. And there are maybe 3 hot areas in Europe you may not be aware. 3 hot areas for World War III to potentially start anytime now. Doug, I'm going to tell you what, this is beginning to look like the 1939 all over again. The war clouds are gathering, the drums are beating, and the sabers are rattling, and face-to-face people are meeting. It's looking ugly. In fact, I don't think it looked this bad before World War II or World War I. And part of it is actually in the Genesis area of World War I in Serbia area. So, Doug, tell us about the 3 hot spots.
Obviously, what everybody's aware of right now is what's taking place on the Polish border with Belarus. Russia is amassing, over 100,000 troops on Ukraine's border. And then you've got tensions rising between Serbia and Bosnia. The Serbs in Bosnia are attempting to secede from Bosnia and create their own nation. And they're a lot of them are obviously they're aligned with Russia, and they have a lot of Russian equipment. The ones primarily that NATO needs to worry about are the man-portable air defense systems and the anti-tank weapons that Bosnia has, and Serbia has, and those will, if that region gets destabilized, what you're going to see is essentially Russian equipment from Serbia making its way through Croatia and heading. Primarily, I would assume they would probably try to get it towards France and Germany. So you would probably see Croatia and Hungary, the borders of Croatia and Hungary, destabilized, so that could happen. You're also seeing a lot of conflict between Turkey and Greece right now regarding the Sea of Crete and some disputes that they have regarding their maritime boundaries in that region. France has already deployed naval vessels into the Mediterranean Sea to back up Greece in this conflict. So there's huge potential for things to pop off regarding that issue.
Now then we need to point out something about that. That's a war within NATO.
Right, because Turkey is a NATO country, at least, for their own geopolitical, leverage, so to speak. So, a conflict between, and so is Greece. But
right, exactly, it's a war within NATO.
Right. So, I think the potential there to essentially have a balkanization of NATO itself exists, and you're gonna see there's a lot of potential things that could cause Europe to go up in flames, so to speak. And that is most definitely one of them as well, that not many people are even talking about.
Well, I mentioned 3. I didn't even bring that one up. That one's, Greece and Turkey have been simmering for decades. But Erdogan is a particularly aggressive head of state in Turkey, and he's really cutting his own agenda. He wants to start his own caliphate.
He's a strong man for sure. He wants to reestablish the old Ottoman Empire. That there was an agreement that they had to sign. I think it was in 1923, and at the 100-year anniversary, that agreement is over. So they'll be allowed, basically able to expand again. So it's definitely something to watch out for.
The agreement was just for 100 years.
I think it was. Yeah, it was just for 100 years. Yep.
Wow.
And that's a little over a year from now, it'll be that'll be over. So,
What's going to hold Erdogan to it? I mean, Erdogan.
well, he's already trying to expand. I mean, he's already making moves in northern Syria and northern Iraq. So I think essentially what you're going to see is Turkey come to head with Iran, because Iran essentially controls a large area of Iraq right now, or at least the Shiites in Iraq do. So it's, you're going to see a lot of conflicts between them and Iran in the distant future, a year, 2 years off probably, but they're already clashing. Their proxies are already clashing with each other right now. So
let's recap. Really 4 hot spots. So we got to worry about the border of Belarus and Poland.
Right.
Got everybody's attention right now.
Right.
We've got to worry about Russia and Ukraine.
Correct.
We got to worry about Cyprus, and we got to worry about Serbia.
Yeah, Serbia and Bosnia going at it. Yeah.
Serbia and Bosnia. So, and we got Serbia and Bosnia. We've got, and Russia is involved in all this, except
Russia's involved. Russia has come to Serbia's side in this matter regarding the secession. So,
well, they're Slavic people. They're all Slavic people.
Yeah, right. So and they have some very serious Russian equipment as well. So they're trying to reestablish I guess what they're calling it is the Republic of Srpska, and essentially what it is what they've begun to do now is divide the military. The military used to be unified between the 3 major ethnic groups, but the Serbs have now pulled their military out of the Bosnian military, and essentially they're telling the Bosnian military to get out of Srpska. And what they're counting on, and they're actually correct, is the world is not paying attention, and really we're not. So if a conflict pops off over there, like I said previously, what you've got to worry about is those border regions, primarily between Croatia and Hungary, being destabilized, and then those Russian weapons making their way into the greater Europe, the NATO countries. And Italy will have to be concerned. Obviously, they'll be the first nation for those weapons to get smuggled through the major, and then Poland will have to worry about that as well, because if the weapons get smuggled through Hungary and Slovakia, then right after that is Poland. So there's a lot of things that could happen, and we really got to, those they need to be paying very close attention to what's going on in Bosnia and Serbia. So,
well, and as this whole front in Europe between the old East and the West and within Europe starts to rip apart, there's going to be other mischief around the world. Lots of other hot spots.
Absolutely. There's a lot of stuff going on in the Middle East right now. Obviously you've got Iran, Afghanistan, and Iraq, which have large Shia populations. Well, Iran has shown that they're allied with the Taliban in Afghanistan, and now that the Taliban have all these A-29 Super Tucanos and Mi-17s, they can literally fly sorties over the Straits of Hormuz and cut off the traffic that Saudi Arabian Aramco oil would be shipping to the rest of the world. And meanwhile, you've got the Houthi rebels in Yemen, which are south of Saudi Arabia, who've been making very big gains on Saudi Arabia recently. They have precision-guided missiles, and they also have recently displayed their ability to shoot down drones. They shot down some sophisticated American drones recently with their man pads that they have. They didn't. I wasn't able to find what type of man pads they have, but I'm assuming that they're the Iranian-made man pads. Obviously, they're good enough to shoot down drones, so they'll be good enough to shoot down helicopters as well, at least low-flying helicopters, and they've essentially got Saudi Arabia on the run. Saudi Arabia is starting to withdraw from Yemen, so it's definitely showing a change of momentum, so to speak, in the conflict. And if Iran decides to get into the fight, which I think they would be. I mean, it's a heck of an opportunity to go after Saudi Arabia. I mean, you're talking about 1/3 of the world's oil is produced in Saudi Arabia. So obviously, there's a lot of people that are coveting that region. Iran, with the help of Afghanistan and with the help of Yemen, and with the help of the Shias in Iraq, could definitely take the oil fields. And if that happens, the United States dollar is going to collapse. You can mark my words on that, because our dollar is pegged to the sale of oil out of Saudi Arabia. If Saudi Arabian oil can no longer be purchased with United States dollars, which is what would happen if Iran took control of those fields, then the United States economy is going to collapse. And
let me explain that a little bit. What a lot of people don't realize is what it means to have the world's reserve currency. It means there's a whole lot of dollars out there in the world that in a whole lot of demand, because all these other countries need those dollars to buy oil. When those dollars aren't good for buying oil, it's worth a whole lot less. One of the reasons the United States has been able to get away with spending so much money in the government is because there's a fraction of the total money supply of dollars in the world. It's not been nearly as bad as what happened after World War I in Germany with the Weimar Republic. They did not have that big reserve of currency. So when they started printing dollars, they had massive runaway inflation. Well, we're already seeing inflation now because we have been doing crazy spending. It's really beginning to catch up to us. And this would just set it off. Our dollar would be worthless.
Yep.
It would take a wheelbarrow of them to buy a cookie or half a loaf of bread probably. And so this is how we've got away with all the government spending over these last few decades. We could not have done this had the dollar not been the world reserve currency. So suddenly you've just ended basically the United States' ability to spend without massive penalties of inflation. So this is a huge economic hit, and a lot of people don't understand how big that will be. They don't understand what it means to have that kind of inflation. It means, guys, you need to prep. You need to buy everything you can right now while you can get it with the money you got, because the money you got won't be jack diddle if this starts. And this could very well happen anytime. Your money will be worthless. But right now you can get something with it, get some value with it. Go out to the big box stores and get beans and rice. Go buy seeds. And by the way, if you want to buy seeds, I do have links to True Leaf Market below most of my videos. And I do have a special on prepwithgreg.com, by the way, where you can get $100 off a 30-month supply of food that lasts 25 years, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, 2,000 calories a day. That'll make you a winner. And that stuff's lightweight, easy to store. You may have to bug out in the times that are coming. So if you have to go maneuvers, you can take the little pouches out and throw them in your backpack. It's unlike the big cans. All right, enough said on that. So essentially, we're looking at a situation where other countries could take advantage of these things, because the United States we're spread too thin. We can't cover a two-front war anymore. That's the way we used to be set up. We're talking potentially multi-front war. A lot of bad players in the world could take advantage of this, including North Korea, going for South Korea, including China. They've got ambitions against Taiwan.
Well, not just Taiwan.
I'm going there. Senkaku Islands and the Himalayas.
Yeah,
so
that's precisely what I was
going to say. They may be going after Japan, India. We're talking the whole world could unzip. And they may have allies in Pakistan, which would be the back door hitting India. They just delivered a huge battleship to Pakistan. Now
four of them.
Yeah, you may have heard me talking here about how Indian Navy could cut off the Chinese Navy around the Indonesian islands, or or their own island chain, Amadan, or whatever they call it. They've got a couple of places, but they're getting hit in the rear end from Pakistan's Navy now. That kind of wipes that down quite considerably. So it's like India would have to fight Pakistan before they could go fight China. In the meantime, China's taking the Himalayas away from India and getting it for their big road to march their 200,000 troops across the Tigris and Euphrates River into And that comes from Revelations, by the way, into
Right.
into the oil fields in Saudi Arabia and wherever they want to go. So,
Yeah,
I hope we're
uh,
wrong, but we could have World War III starting anytime now, just any
Yeah.
second.
And China has the world's largest navy now, and they're actually getting ready to fit. They're almost done with their third aircraft carrier. They're about done with it. Meanwhile, the United States, we're currently working on the JFK in Newport News, the USS John F. Kennedy, and we're starting to actually cannibalize the JFK to give parts to the I think it's to the Gerald goodness, what is it? We're taking parts from the JFK and giving it to one of our other aircraft carriers to make it battle ready. So
we don't have the ship production capability nowhere near what China has.
Yeah.
We quit shipbuilding. We should have been building a maritime navy. And you talk about fishing ships, the the Chinese probably have 17,000 trawlers out there raping our oceans. We got about 350 trawlers, flagged for the United States, and they are making a mess. That's a whole other story. But guys, we're in a serious situation here. We can hope and pray that this don't come to pass. This may be what they're talking about, one long dark winter. One of the guys in the chat room, the Watchman, has been warning us in here about North Korea, and I've talked about that many times. I think North Korea might be the country that would launch an EMP attack on us, maybe from Venezuelan coast, where it would be deniable. You wouldn't know who did it. So that might be a cover to get things moving. I mean, if we get an EMP attack, we're down. These other countries will have a lot more latitude to play, especially for what's the remnant of our military. It's stretched between wars all around the world. They're not going to be as effective. They may not have had any comms. I mean, the Russians have perfected RF weapons that can reach thousands of miles and stable all RF systems. And our military is very command and control centric, which is highly, absolutely dependent on that integrated system of comms systems. Without it, what do we do? We both been in the military. You weren't in there after me. What are we going to do with all these comms, Doug?
I don't think we're going to be able to rely on them. I think that's the Achilles heel for the United States. We are attempting to fight an asymmetric war with fourth generation tactics. It's not going to work. I mean, the severity of the situation. I mean, let me just give you a quick example of the severity of the situation. The Pentagon just reactivated a nuclear unit that's based out of Germany, and they're essentially responsible for launching hypersonic nuclear capable missiles. Okay. So just keep that in mind. Germany and Russia are not very far away. The missiles that this unit has command of can hit Russia in less than 22 minutes. All right. So it's very serious right now, the times that we're in. The UK has sent naval fleets into the Black Sea. United States has activated special ops units. I mean, God, it's real. Things are really heating up, and Ukraine has even sent, I think it was like 10,000 troops on the border with Belarus. When it starts, it's going to start with a migrant invasion. Okay.
I heard it was 15,000 troops.
Well, that's Poland.
Poland. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, Poland sent 15,000.
Yeah. No, people aren't even talking about
2,000 migractually How big is that migrant caravan that's trying to get in the United States?
Well, it has actually been reduced significantly. The Mexicans are, you can thank the Mexican government for that. They've actually reduced the numbers to 1,500 last I heard, because 800 of them accepted Mexican visas to work and to live there temporarily. So, but the 1,500 migrants that are still with Pueblo Sin Fronteras, those are the ones that have been attacking Mexican security forces. There's videos of them throwing stones, and they've got essentially melee weapons. Like I've always said it, fifth generational warfare starts with first generational warfare tactics. Okay. It's for plausible deniability. It's,
Bingo. That's it right there.
You get,
Well, it's just migrants. It's just migrants.
It's just migrants. They're just
that.
Sticks and stones.
We're just invading your country.
It's all just climate change, migration, and they're throwing sticks and stones. You cannot justify shooting a group of people that are throwing sticks and stones. You can't. It's overkill to shoot them with an AK or shoot them with an AR. So you have to. You have to do your.
But look at what the Presidente of Belarus, Alexander Lukashenko, has been requesting from Russia the Islander missile, mobile nuclear missiles, to go into two areas. And even though Putin has kind of acted like he's pushing Belarus aside, especially with this gas line deal, they actually put two Russian nuclear-capable bombers flying the border of Belarus. So it shows that they're still 100% behind them.
I think it's just for show. I think it's a ruse because Russia,
the Rus of Belarus, and
the Rus of Belarus. That's right, because Russia is primarily concerned with feeding its country. And if you know anything about Ukraine is roughly 60 million hectares, I think. And about two thirds of that is agricultural land. You've got 42 million hectares of black soil, which is the most fertile. It's the most fertile region in all of Europe, essentially. I mean, it's in Asia. It's, during the Soviet era, Ukraine was considered the breadbasket.
That's why Hitler wanted to conquer it. Same thing. Hitler called it the breadbasket.
So right now, with the a lot of people are talking about the grand solar minimum, and I don't know too much about it, but as far as I'm aware, the global agricultural production is dwindling. Whether it's artificial or whether it's happening because of the sun is going into a grand solar minimum, I don't know. Either way, I know that Russia wants Ukraine for its agricultural significance. At least that's the way I see it. Its geopolitical importance is agriculture. You can grow anything you want in Ukraine, essentially. So
well, Russia's kind of like Alaska. Your agricultural capacity is not the most optimal in the world. I've been to Moscow. I love Moscow. Great city to go to, by the way, but maybe not right now. So, the broader picture, Russia just did an anti-satellite test. They shot one of their own satellites, and the debris almost hit the International Space Station. They had to do an emergency maneuver. The astronauts had to crawl into their escape vehicles. One reason they did that is because they had several closable hatches, and should the space station have ripped apart, they could have got away in them. Plus, if the atmosphere inside vented, they could have closed the hatch inside the capsules to get home in. But Russia's got assets there. They put their own assets at risk because a big part of the International Space Station is actually Russian. They put that at risk with this test, and Putin just rubbed it off. So it was a beautiful thing. He just rubbed it off like, hey, it's nothing. Even though everybody's hopping mad at him, NASA and the United States is hopping mad about this. So what they're testing is anti-satellite capabilities. Now, this could a weapon like that could take out satellites in low Earth orbit, but orbit is we're putting too much trash up there. The more of that debris you get, the harder it is to do anything in orbit. This stuff can cascade. Some people worry about a runaway event where there gets to be so much orbital debris running to other debris that you can't have any kind of access to space, and everything up there gets taken down. But that might be good for them because the advantage to America is in our satellite assets. But some people look at that, but that's not the only thing. With the RF weapons I mentioned earlier, they could shut our comms down anyway. With an EMP weapon in space, they could fry a lot of these. There's more than one way they can take out the satellites or our ability to communicate with them. Their RF systems that the Russians have been developing are capable of taking out all communications when they're like, I think 5,000 miles. Of course, it's got horizon limitations, of course, thankfully. But so they're working at massive systems to take comm systems down. And that, as you mentioned earlier, is the Achilles heel of the military. The Achilles heel of America is our power grid.
That's right.
And so, and our power grid also controls communications here in domestic United States. Our military bases are getting their power from the civilian power grid for the most part.
And you know, obviously you can see that the main tactic that Russia is employing right now is to use migrants to swarm the countries that it is, you know, essentially enemies of. So what you're seeing is migrants on the border with Poland trying to go in. You're also seeing migrants in South America that are trying to come up here. The question you need to ask is, are those migrants proxy forces for someone else? And if they are what are they going to do when they enter the territory that they are supposed to go to? So I think the potential that if they are in fact proxy forces for Russia or for China or for both, then I think what you're going to see is a lot of sabotage take place. Initially, you're going to see the countries that they have invaded are going to lock down. You're going to see martial law. In the United States, I believe you're going to see the southern border is essentially going to be destabilized. You're going to start to see secession in those areas, and especially in Europe, most of the countries I believe are going to take a defensive posture because it seems as though that's what they're preparing for. Poland just purchased 300 Cougar MRAPs, used Cougar MRAPs from the United States. So that tells me that they're preparing for, essentially unrest, because those Cougar MRAPs, they're not going to do anything in a conventional war or even an unconventional war with a state actor. Those MRAPs, they'll get taken out right away by drones or by just regular anti-tank missiles or RPGs.
One of the weaknesses of armored vehicles is right on top of them.
Yeah, well, the main weakness.
You got drones. That's the optimum way to tank out tanks. I just got that out.
Belarus has some indigenously manufactured drones that are capable of firing 2 RPG-27s at the same time. They have what's it called? It's a oh my gosh. I can't remember the name of it. It's like it's called a Cavadro 1400 or something like that. Essentially what it is, it's a big quadcopter that has 2 RPG-26 attached to it. And those will be able to take out, any armored personnel carrier or MRAP or whatever, because like you said, they're very weak on the top. They don't have very much armor from the top. And just a regular RPG will be able to take those out anyways. So, and armored personnel carriers and vehicles, they're moving targets from people who are hiding behind a bush with an RPG. So, like I said in the opening, the United States is using 4th generational tactics in a 5th generational war. It's going to be very, very bloody and very brutal, because I personally don't believe that NATO is ready to fight an asymmetric conflict with Russia. So because Russia is definitely ready. Now, all of their allies in the region have all of the weapons that they need to fight that kind of asymmetric war, and it shows. You can look it up online yourself. Just Google the weapons that these countries have.
Well, their SA-400 anti-aircraft missile is probably the deadliest one in the world. So our aircraft would definitely be up a hard creek with that. And they claim that they can spot our stealth aircraft. There's some new radar stuff they developed. So
I'm concerned about the anti-tank weapons that Serbia has, and the man pads, the Strela man pads, and the anti-tank weapons that they have. They're called I don't know if I can say this word on YouTube. It's not derogatory. It's just the name of the anti-tank weapon. It's a Russian anti-tank weapon. It's called a faggot. It's called a faggot. And if they destabilize Croatia's border, then I can guarantee you that those are going to make their way up into Europe. And any armored vehicle that is out on the streets in Europe is going to be threatened by that. And so, you can put your money on that. But when this thing pops off, it's all of Europe is potentially going to be at risk of that kind of stuff. And they're preparing for, like I said, for unrest. The equipment purchases that they're making are showing that they are preparing for an unrest type of scenario. Okay. But what they're not prepared for is all of these anti-tank missiles and man pads making their way into Europe because of a destabilized border, either between Poland and Belarus, or between Serbia and Croatia, or Bosnia and Croatia. There's many different ways for them to bring that kind of stuff into Europe, and they're already showing that that's the way that they're going to fight this war, because it starts with the migrant invasion. The migrant invasion. In order for the migrant invasion to be successful, they have got to destabilize those borders. Okay, and so it's going to be an opportunity for them to smuggle all kinds of stuff into Europe. All right. Not to mention the fact that they're going to be able, it's also a biological war in the fact that all of these migrants, none of them are going to be vetted. None of them are going to be screened for diseases, whatever disease, So you're potentially bringing all kinds of plagues and disease and viruses.
Here's a big question. Do you think the migrant train to hit the United States is timed to hit the United States in synchronicity with all these other events? I mean, look at
yes,
this.
absolutely.
Look at it. It's all the same time.
They are definitely taking their time. Okay. But see, Mexico, the Mexican security forces have been keeping them at bay, but keeping them at bay also gives them enough time to increase their numbers if they want to. So, you can hold back the flood as long as you want, but once it goes over that wall, it's going to be stronger than it was before, right? So, yeah, I mean, the caravan is small now, but they are planning to merge with another caravan of a few thousand, and they are planning to go to Sonora, Mexico, and try to break through the border in Arizona. And, if they make their way to Los Angeles has already started to defund their police. All right. So you could potentially see a lot of unrest in Los Angeles because of this. And
the last time I went to Los Angeles, I thought it was in Mexico.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, pretty much.
I watched LA transform over the decades from, being a real slick city to being slums. There's some pockets of rich people here and there and a few nice places, but LA has gone downhill fast.
Well, the thing I'm worried about, once these migrants get to the border cities, is there going to be enough resources for everybody? How large is the migrant caravan going to be? We're already seeing a significant increase in the price of food, and it's. I just see a very serious potential for unrest, because a lot of what they were doing in Tapachula, Mexico, was very, what's the word, riotous. The behavior that the kids they were up on buildings throwing rocks at cars. I mean, what do you think would happen if they start to do that in the United States? They're throwing rocks at cars, disrupting traffic, disrupting the flow of traffic. I mean,
did you pay attention summer before last? What
Yeah,
happened
exactly.
outside the United States? What
Right.
was happening? Yeah, I think it was worse
All
than
of
that.
Antifa, and yeah. So well, I guess you probably can't say that on YouTube.
No,
So
no. Don't call it out. We know what it is. You ain't got to say it directly.
yeah,
People know what you're talking about.
yeah. A lot of these people seem to be funded by Marxists. So it shouldn't surprise you
No.
what's coming down the road.
Yeah, well, there you go. I read a little poem on one of my videos the other night about that. We won't read it tonight because this is not a celebratory video here. This is a somber occasion video looking at what's in front of us. Judy Dow says, keep the gardens growing. Amen. Keep the gardens growing.
Get some chickens.
Yeah, one of the guys said he was going to get some chickens this spring. I said, you might not want to wait, because I know they're more available then. Yeah, we don't know if we've got to this spring to do anything. This stuff could break loose any moment. Our grid could go down. And a lot of people don't understand, if our grid goes down, if they hit us with it, well, there's many ways our grid could go down. Some people are expecting it to be taken down internally, just to black out the internet for control purposes. But if it's taken out by an EMP, by an MP super weapon, that would take out a lot of our military command and control. I mean, most of our military hardened facilities were built under respect to harden to 50,000 volts per meter. The MP super weapons are capable of putting out 200,000 volts per meter. So that's 4 times the spec tolerance. Now, maybe they went in and rebuilt some of this stuff, the more critical ones. I don't know. I've not been told that, but then that might be classified. But still, all that said, we've got nuclear forces around the world. We've got submarine fleets, and everybody thinks that they're going to jump up and respond if something happens back at home. But those guys cannot launch unless they get an emergency action message. They have to get that EAM telling them what to do. If they don't get that, they can't do diddle.
Well, the main thing I'm concerned about as far as our grid is concerned is, the potential exists that if our southern border is destabilized and you have all these unvetted migrants coming. I mean, Border Network News has already showed Arabs amongst the caravan. Obviously not all Arabs wish us harm, but the people in the world that wish us harm the most tend to be Arabs. Okay. And the
ones of them that wish us harm would choose to come in the country that way.
Exactly. But here's the main point that I want your audience to be aware of. Okay. Venezuela has a lot of Russian weapons, primarily the SA-24 Grinch. Okay. And the RPG-7. The SA-24 Grinch is man portable air defense system. Okay, if our border is destabilized, and some of these and the generals of the Venezuelan military have already sold, it's already been proven that they have sold these man pads to cartels and just different people that are willing to pay top dollar for them. Okay, so if these man pads make it to our southern border, all of those border patrol helicopters that are on the border right now, they're going to be at risk. Any helicopter flying is going to be at risk. Any drone that tries to surveil the area is going to be able to get shot down. Okay, so and any armored vehicle that goes to the border, the RPG-7 is going to be able to take out. And Venezuela has a lot of them. Okay, so if our border gets destabilized, it will be a very serious potential for this kind of equipment to make its way into the United States and wreak havoc, not just on our border security forces, but on our infrastructure, like our electric grid.
It's not just the stuff in Venezuela. I've been hearing rumors of stuff percolating from the equipment we left behind, vast amounts of equipment we left behind in Afghanistan, which is more than all the Afghan forces can handle. We left them so much stuff. It's more than they know what to do with. They're selling it. They're trading it. They're sending it over here, according to some sources I hear. Now, that's hearsay. Maybe this may be a live action role playing session, a LARP session. But guys, this stuff, uh, could possibly be on its way over here through various and sundry means. And if so, we got to face it. But if you look at the Mexican drug cartels, human smuggling cartels, coyote organizations, they're all one and the same. If you look at them, they are armed to the teeth. I mean, they're better equipped. I mean, I've seen a video of these guys. We didn't have that kind of equipment when I was in the Army that these guys got. They are a military force. They're not a paramilitary force. They outclass, I would say, the Army in Mexico. Those guys have weapon systems beyond belief.
They have drones with grenades attached to them. There was a conflict, I think it was in Michoacan last week. One of the cartels used drones against the other cartel, and those drones were essentially flying bombs. And you fly it somewhere, land it, and it blows up. And it may not be very sophisticated, but it's extremely effective. And they imagine them doing that to our infrastructure, whether it be a pipeline or whether it be a power plant. They've got the equipment, and if that kind of stuff is just right there south of the border, then obviously it's something we ought to be concerned about. And this is the reason why I strongly believe the Biden administration it's I don't want to really call it negligence. It's more like dereliction of duty, because he's putting our country at risk by not helping Texas and Arizona and New Mexico and California secure the border. I mean, the threat that's south of us is extremely serious, and I don't think the majority of Americans are even aware of the severity of the threat.
Okay, so let me elaborate a little bit. Remember how we were surprised and stunned how fast the Taliban took bases in Afghanistan? When you got a force arm like the Mexican cartel, when you got them alone, them and whatever might be coming in these caravans coming north or whatever might come north, they could literally blitzkrieg across the United States into our military bases. And how are our military bases secured? By
9mm pistols, by a 9mm pistol.
Bingo. Now I try not to use weapon words here directly.
but that's let's be honest. The
pea shooters, it's spit wads, basically.
Handguns our military bases are secured with people that have handguns.
Little bitty ones, and just a few people. What you're talking about is the gate guards. That's it. Gate guards. That's all you got. It's gate guards, and you could run through that with 90-0 and get away with it. I mean, if you had a bunch of vehicles coming at that gate at once, bam, you'd be through it. And the gate guards wouldn't know what to do. They can be taken out easily by amateur militia, and the base could be overrun, taken, the equipment absconded. There's no security on the bases themselves anywhere. And the MPs would all be playing Keystone Cops, or probably running for cover. I mean, if you think about, when you have a shooter event on these bases, they lock everything down. They tell everybody to stay in place in their buildings. I know I've been on the bases when we've gone through drills on that kind of stuff. And, and other bases have had it happen to them. They lock everything down because they're just not ready for that. We've not equipped our bases to with the consideration that we could get attacked here domestically. It's like we never thought about that, or if we did, who knows. But our servicemen and women are not allowed to bear arms. If you go on, I got a permit here in the state of Alabama with the county I'm in, but I can't exercise that permit when I go to work. If I go to work on base, it's not permitted. And they think that's security and safety. I would say it's the opposite. It puts their base at risk. Soldiers who are trained can't carry. Wow. Interesting. And we just, we're not set up for it. I mean, you might hope that the local towns could send in their police to help cover the situation, but if they're dealing with something like the Mexican drug cartels, they couldn't do it. They couldn't handle it. Not even with their SWAT teams. Their SWAT teams aren't big enough. We're talking an invasion. They could take military bases, and what do you do then? And with the military bases, they could reach it. Now, they only have so much manpower. Even with that, they couldn't take the entire country and the region. And what would save the country would be the civilians.
That's right.
as long as we have that amendment number 2 auf Deutsch.
Well, I just, I know we're talking about a lot of things that might be concerning to most of your audience, but I want to also leave them with this. Okay. Every year, the United States sells about 15.5 million hunting licenses. Okay. Also, there's about 18 million veterans that are still alive in the United States. Now, yeah, me too.
Yeah, you and I both.
So keep this in mind. All right. The most popular hunting rifle in the United States is a Remington 700. A Remington 700 fires a .308, which has, depending on the length of the barrel and the load, has about an 800 to 1,000 yard effective range. All right. That is a larger effective range than most militaries in the world. Okay. So you add those numbers up or you divide them, however, because obviously there's some overlap. There's going to be, some veterans are hunters and some hunters are veterans, vice versa. You've got about 20, let's just say about 25 million of us, okay, that are armed and have an average effective range of about 800 yards. Okay. I'm sorry, but there is no force on the face of this earth that can stand against the militia of the United States. And that is just a fact. If we were united, or rather if we were activated, okay, which we could be activated, okay, all it takes is just a presidential order to activate the militia.
Biden? Come on.
Well, it's not going to happen, but the states can do it too, okay, especially the state of Texas. The Texas law can they have the right to activate the Texas militia, okay, and it's anybody that's of military age, military fighting age, okay. So anybody from the whole country could come down to Texas and be activated. So, but either way, okay, just keep in mind, NATO only has a force of about 80,000, okay, and we're talking the United States militia. We're talking about at least 25 million, okay, okay. So, there's, like I said, there is no force on the face of this earth that could stand against us if we were united. So keep that in mind. That's why I don't want you to lose heart in all of this. You are much stronger than you are aware. Okay.
Amen.
So keep that in mind. Okay.
That's how I felt as a soldier in Alaska, because I think my unit was a test center. It was almost like a civilian job when I was up there. And we didn't have enough M16s to cover everybody in the unit. We might have had 50, and then we had, a couple hundred people in the unit. But when I went off base and saw my friends off base, they had foot lockers just full of everything you could imagine. Every one of them did. And I knew who was going to defend the soldiers. It wasn't going to be the soldiers defending the Alaskans. It was going to be the Alaskans defending the army.
That's right. That
was obvious to me then, in the early 1980s.
Yeah.
So I want to say this for the purpose of our chat room, guys. Since we crossed the Rubicon and mentioned Remingtons and stuff like that, that is verboten for a monetized video. I cannot.
Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I think this is the second time.
I was trying to get you not to say those things, but you
probably shouldn't have me on here anymore, Greg, because every time I come on here, you get.
I didn't monetize the last one either because
we need to go over this before we start the show next time.
Yeah, our last one went there too. So. Guys, a few super chats would really be helpful.
Yeah. If you got a few extra dollars, send them Greg's way. I apologize for that, guys, but
we got 155 people in the room, which is a lot more than normal. But I haven't got a single super chat yet.
And by the way, come check out my channel too, Uncommon News 777.
Yeah. Check out Doug's channel, Uncommon News 777, and I will try at the end of the video to pull it up. Because look, y'all need to subscribe to Doug's channel, guys. Subscribe, bang the other notification bell, and click all. Because he needs a lot of support. He doesn't have that many subscribers, so check it out, everyone. I'm going to see if I can pull it up here. So, how do you think all this could start out in Europe?
How do I think it's going to start out? Well, it's obviously going to start out with the borders of Poland being breached. Okay, and I think what you're going to see then is. Yeah, well, it's already been breached. There was a couple dozen of them that got through, and Belarus has been giving them melee weapons, and actually they've been giving them tear gas as well. So they've made their way through already. And I think today in Poland, there were 12 security officers that got hurt. So, and they've been sabotaging the Poland infrastructure. They've been sabotaging drainage, drains, and the border fence. They've been blinding the border guards at night, and they've been giving
with the lasers. Tell us about that.
With the lasers and with the strobe lights. Okay, right. So while they're attempting to blind the border security guard with strobe lights and with lasers, they're also sabotaging the infrastructure, and which essentially they're cutting the barbed wire and tearing walls down and giving those kind of tools to the migrants so that they can do that themselves as well. And they've also been firing machine guns along the border to attempt to get essentially a stampede going across the border. So, and there's video of it. They've had
trying to scare the migrants out. Now, these migrants are caught in a bad situation. They were lured in, told they were going to get jobs and get place, and then they were dumped on the border.
Right, and they're being treated like cattle. Okay, and what the Belarusian
worse.
It's worse because what the Belarusian military is essentially doing is they're trying to create a stampede across the Poland's border, and they're doing it by machine gun fire in the woods. And there's video of it. I mean, you can go, I think it's Poland24.pl or something like that. There's a website with Polish news. You can watch, you can see as it's happening, they post videos up there from what's going on at the border. And I mean, they've got Belarusian soldiers in the woods firing off machine guns, trying to get all the men that are waiting there on the border to just dash across because they're afraid of hearing gunfire. But keep in mind, I mean, most of these people are from the Middle East, and when they hear gunfire, it's nothing new to them. So I don't know, they're trying to scare these people with machine gun fire ain't really gonna do it. So that's something they experience every freaking day.
Yeah. Hey, I want to thank Wise Al, Brian Perendi, and Susie Q. They all just gave me super chats. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. That really helps.
Fantastic. But obviously, I think once that kicks off, and once NATO is focused on, NATO's not going to be focused on Poland. They're already showing that they're focused on Ukraine, and it shows because of UK's naval deployment and United States deployments to the Black Sea. So, but you're going to see other NATO countries go and attempt to help out Poland. Most of I believe what you're going to see is most of the European countries, they're going to take a defensive posture, and they're going to attempt to basically lock down their countries. And you're obviously going to see Bosnia and Serbia, very likely to get into a conflict with each other regarding Srpska. And if that does happen, like I said previously, there's the potential definitely exists that the border with Croatia could be destabilized, and some of those man pads and anti-tank rockets will find its way into Europe. I think it's a very open opportunity for Russia to get their anti-tank and anti-aircraft weapons into Europe to seriously destabilize the region. And if that happens, then the people of Europe are gonna have a very serious problem on their hand. They're gonna have to be they're gonna be essentially fighting two fronts. They're gonna be fighting to keep the unrest from getting worse because of the migrants, but at the same time, just the tactics that are involved and the methods that are in the equipment that are involved in keeping unrest quelled will make them vulnerable. Okay, so as I said, previously, the kind of equipment that you want to put out on the streets to quell an insurrection or to quell unrest is going to be MRAPs, and they're just going to be stationary. Those are stationary targets, and because of that, they will, be at risk of being blown up by some Russian anti-tank weapons, RPG-7s and such.
Yeah,
And if they try to fly helicopters to respond to the situation, normally what happens is, they'll have an MRAP or a troop carrier or something like that out on the street. It'll get attacked, and then the command and control center will send out a helicopter to respond as a quick reaction force to respond to the situation. Well, if those faggots, the man-portable air defense systems, if those faggots are smuggled into Europe, then once those helicopters come to respond to the situation, they'll be vulnerable as well. So, they'll be, it's like I said, it's an asymmetric war, and they're going to be attempting to fight it with, fourth generational warfare tactics. It's not going to work. It's not going to work.
I mean, what's an MRAP do? An MRAP was made to deflect an explosion from below from an improvised explosive device. And it was meant to be in a place where the people you were opposing were already there in place. That's not what you got in here. You got other people coming in to your territory, so they're not going to be facing IEDs. They're going to be facing stuff coming in from the side. And the MRAP is huge. They got a huge profile. They're a big target.
Right, exactly. It's a big target, right? It stands for mine-resistant ambush protection.
You don't want to be in an MRAP in a situation like that. You're in a awful place. Oh yeah, I want to
if they don't bring the tanks out. I mean, they're going to bring the tanks out, but even the tanks are
going to have tanks. But even the tanks are going to be at risk. But I would not want to be in an MRAP. Or even, all the armored vehicles will be at risk. Hey, I want to thank John Christian, who says he's waiting for the grid to go down the Ozarks. Well, we hope the grid don't go down, but you better be.
I would say don't wait for the grid. Don't let that be your first indicator. I would say the first indicator you ought to be watching out for is your GPS. Okay, if your GPS goes out, that is a very good first indicator that it has popped off. Okay. So I don't know, just want to put that out there. Don't wait for the grid to go down first, because if it's
Chris Morgan gave me a nice super chat, $49.90. He says, Greg, we need to decide how to jumpstart manufacturing USA. Amen, but we're way behind. We should have done that a long time ago. But when I was in the Army, I was under the Army Material Command. We had a two-star general, John Kohler, explaining how it was so vital that the United States stay in front of manufacturing. And the fact that the United States won every war it ever won by attrition by out manufacturing the competitor. And now who's the biggest manufacturing base in the world? It's China. And we're very likely in the course of all this to have to face China and Russia. Now I did have a guest on here, David Pine, a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about the prospects of the United States having to face China and Russia at the same time. And that's really what we're talking about. Well, the problem is we may be faced on different sides of the world, in Europe and in the Pacific. Yeah, go ahead.
Can I inject something there on that line? Okay, so you want to help boost up production capacity in the United States, and if you want to help the military effort that's going to be going on in NATO, buy stock in Raytheon, because they're the ones producing the Stinger missile, and that Stinger missile is going to make a big difference in this conflict. So, if you find yourself in Europe, or if you find yourself in the United States and you want to make a serious difference, and, I'm usually I am very adamantly opposed to the military industrial conflict, but right now where it stands for my own personal security, I would say to your audience, purchase stock in Raytheon. I am not an advisor. An advisor.
You're disqualified. You're not a financial advisor.
I'm not a financial advisor, but if you want to help out, you want to help either buy Textron, buy stock in Textron, so that they can sell the more of the AT. I think it's called the AT-6. What's it called? I think it's called the AT-6, the light attack aircraft. That's Textron. They also make drones, okay, and Raytheon. They make the Stinger, okay. They make the Stinger missile.
You know where the Stinger was developed? Who oversaw the development of the Stinger missile?
Yeah, wasn't it the Operation Paperclip? Came from Operation Paperclip or something like that.
No, but it was oversaw by Redstone Arsenal, which is a spinoff of the Operation Paperclip team. The Operation Paperclip came to Huntsville, Alabama, and they set up Redstone Arsenal in the Army Missile Command, but they spun off into NASA, most of them, and wound up doing the space program.
If I'm not mistaken, the testing for that occurred somewhere in New Mexico, not too far from me.
White Sands Missile Base has been used to test a lot of this. Some of it gets tested at Redstone, but the ranges are not as long as what's available at White Sands Missile Base, which is there with Fort Bliss also. So you get Fort Bliss, the White Sands Missile Base. My son worked Patriot missiles, which were also developed here at Redstone Arsenal, but tested out there. And my son used to be in the unit out there, Patriot missile unit in White Sands, but he was actually based in Fort Bliss and lived in El Paso, where you're at, right?
Yeah.
And that took me to El Paso to visit him on one occasion. So I spent a few days in El Paso.
Yeah, it's a big city with small town feel. I love it out here. It's really nice.
Yeah, I actually tore my ankle up running down a mountain, McKillary. How do you pronounce some canyon? McKillary. I can't even say it. It's a funny pronunciation. But,
I don't know. There's Franklin Mountain has got a lot of trails on it. So.
Well, I was running down the highway and it had some really jagged gravel in it. And I either stepped on a stick or a dog turd or something, and I went down hard because I was running downhill. And boy, I sprung my ankle bad and cut myself up. And I stood up to the top of the mountain. I had to hobble all the way down the mountain back to my vehicle, and I was bloody. I was a bloody mess.
I believe it. I've run up and down the Franklin Mountains a couple times, and I could. There's definitely some jagged rocks up there, and a lot of needles on the cactus too. So you got to watch out. That's for sure.
Yes. Amen to that.
Yeah.
But it's interesting country, and of course you can see into Mexico. You can see their mountains.
Oh yeah.
So you're right there.
Oh yeah.
Juarez across the creek there. So
yeah.
Well, right now everything is so on the verge. I don't know if there's anything we can do collectively to take the steam out of this to keep it from. If it's on the verge of happening right now, there's really nothing we can do other than prepping at this point.
Yeah, I agree.
I will tell. So for all my viewers, I'm going to say prep immediately. JoJo says she loves El Paso, great place to grow up. So I spent a little time in El Paso, and I enjoyed my time there. But except for tearing my knee up, but from falling and spraining my ankle at the same time, I had to buy some crutches. I didn't get crutches till I was driving north to Denver for a space conference. I stopped by to see my son, and then I got me some crutches and Truth or Consequences.
Yeah.
I decided I had to have crutches. So that's an interesting little town. Anyway, so this is a very volatile situation. We have a case where we could have war pop off just anywhere, but Europe is where it's really hot. Belarus and Poland might be kind of the ruse to provide distraction for Russia to move into Poland. But once that starts, we can have 4 areas popping off in Europe. We was talking about. So just to recap, because people come in and out of these as we go, we're talking about Belarus and Poland. We're talking about
Serbia and Bosnia.
We're
Turkey and Greece and France.
Yeah, that's crazy. And we're talking about
Ukraine and Russia.
Right. And then as you go down around, so it's just kind of like circles. You go down around that circle. What's the next thing? You Iran, and then you go on around. You got Pakistan and India. You got China and India. Then you got China and Taiwan and China and the Senkaku Islands with Japan.
Well, I think we have
a whole circle of warfare here.
One of the areas that most people are not really paying attention to is China and North Vietnam. I think it's going to be a lot easier opportunity for China to take northern Vietnam. There's a lot of Chinese already in northern Vietnam. This is the provinces are called Phang Xi Pang in Ha Giang provinces in Vietnam, and there's already been a lot of back and forth between the people that live there now. China has, from what I understand, at least the way I understand it is, China has been trying to get the people that live in those areas to sign off, statements basically saying that this land belongs to China. Okay, and there's a lot of Chinese that do live there, and so
moving their people in. You got to remember, in 1979, China tried to invade Vietnam.
Yeah, they did.
And
yeah,
they did.
And they took land. They took land.
But the Vietnamese whipped their rear ends.
Well, yeah, but they lost land.
Yeah, but the Vietnamese, they were a bit tough for fighting decades, and and so they prevailed in the fight in the end. But they lost some land. But Vietnam is very wary of China, and in Vietnam, was the United States enemy. Well, now Vietnam and the United States are courting each other over a mutual potential enemy.
That's why I say if you want to help out, that's why I said get stock in Raytheon, because if we gave some stingers to Vietnam, it would make a heck of a difference. Just imagine that. So I'll just leave it at that. So but yeah. Keep your eye on Vietnam as well, especially the northern regions. And there's some islands that are contested along Vietnam's coast as well. So, everybody's focusing on Taiwan, but don't forget the Himalayas. Don't forget about northern Vietnam. Don't forget about the coast of Vietnam, because those are very easy targets that China can just pounce on at any time. Once the United States gets sidetracked, once we start focusing our attention elsewhere, the Chinese are going to pounce on it. They're going to take the opportunity for what it is. Okay, they're going to take advantage of the opportunity. They're going to try to take northern Vietnam. They're going to try to take the islands. They're going to try to take territory along the Himalayas, along the border with India. Well, they already took more land from India too recently.
Bingo. And what they've also just done is they moved some of their big long-range nuclear-capable bombers into the Himalayas.
Yeah. Yep. So
that's a huge sign of force and a big threat against India. And gave those 4 big ships to India, the big destroyers.
You mean Pakistan? Yeah, the destroyers.
Pakistan. So, pardon me. Yeah, that's huge. So they're making their moves right now.
And Pakistan has already been showing hostilities towards India. I mean, they've already carried out several attacks against people along the border. So they've recently killed police officers in Kashmir. They've killed a couple fishermen along the coastline. I mean, these people were just literally just fishing, and the Pakistanis lit them up. It was just a fishing boat with 7 people on board. So yeah, things are definitely heating up, so we got to pay attention.
Yeah. Well, somebody said, hey, they want Tibet. They already got Tibet. But Tibet would like to break loose. Some of the best soldiers in the Indian army fighting the Chinese are Tibetans.
Yep.
So some of their best soldiers are from Tibet. They really want to hit back at China. So we've got this is the most unstable the world has been in my life.
Yep. Yeah.
Even Putin made comments to it. Putin has said that we are at more risk of war right now than any time in the Cold War. However, I don't know that if it compares to Cuban Missile Crisis, though, when a sub commander commanded the launch of a nuclear torpedo and it didn't happen. But the weekend that was just like threadbare close to nuclear war. We almost did it. Almost got into it.
The situation in Yemen has deteriorated so much that even Israel, the UAE, and the United States have sent vessels into the Red Sea. Now, this is extremely significant because since Yemen has shown that they have precision guided missiles and that they have man-portable air defense systems that are capable of taking out even small drones, it's very significant because a lot of Europe's imports come through the Red Sea, and it's like 54% of their agricultural imports come through the Red Sea, and essentially the Houthi rebels have the ability now at the Bab el-Mandab Straits are basically what connects the Gulf of Aden to the Red Sea, and Yemen can now hold hostage the Bab el-Mandab Straits, okay, because they have the precision guided missiles, and they have man-portable air defense systems, so that they could literally, from defensive positions on the ground, okay, on land, they could attack any vessel, any naval vessel going from the Gulf of Aden into the Red Sea. So this is very significant because it puts all of Europe at risk of being, essentially all of their goods being held hostage. And so Israel has deployed their naval vessels into the Red Sea, UAE, United States. And I'm assuming, they've basically been saying that this is just for drills, this is just for practice. But I mean,
it's
totally bogus. They don't want the people to be aware of what's really taking place, because if the people are aware, there could actually be some very serious, the markets are going to show what's going on. People are going to prepare for it. They don't want you to prepare for it. They don't. So obviously things are heating up, and most people are not even aware of it. And like I said, the Yemens, they have the ability now to hold the Bab el-Mandab Straits hostage, okay, and it's being proven by the fact that all of these naval vessels are being deployed to the Gulf of Aden, they're being deployed to the Red Sea, and it's to counter the capabilities that the Houthi rebels have been given by Iran. Okay, Iran. Most people, a lot of people just write Iran off. They would think Iran is not a significant player, but they are way more significant than most people believe, because Iran has gotten to the point to where their weapons have surrounded Saudi Arabia, which produces 1/3 of the world's oil. Their weapons now can literally hold hostage the Bab el-Mandab Straits, which holds 54% of Europe's agricultural imports. Okay, so I mean, there's a very serious potential for starvation or for famine to occur in Europe. All kinds of, you want to know why the price of everything has gone up. This is precisely the reason why. And your mainstream media, your news is not telling you. Okay.
There's so many things in supply chain world that can break down here. Let's start with part of what started all this was gas supply from Russia to Europe. Europe can't, they got all this green energy. It's not meeting what they need to get through the winter. Nowhere close. They need this natural gas from Russia. And when you're dependent on the people that want to eat you to feed you, you're a chicken in a chicken house waiting to go to the slaughterhouse.
This is precisely what the environmentalists in Europe are asking for. They want to reduce carbon emissions. Well, here you go. This is the result of reducing your carbon emissions. You're going to be paying a lot more for everything that you need, and you're not going to be able to heat your house in the middle of a brutal winter. So, there you go.
They're really looking like they may have a very brutal winter this year.
It is going to be brutal. It is. It's forecast to be one of the worst in a very long time. They're going to be experiencing a La Nina in Europe.
Where's Al Gore and his lame predictions when you need them?
Well, when they're spraying dioxin into the freaking ozone layer to essentially get rid of the waste, then yeah, that's what will happen. Self-fulfilled prophecy, but that's another episode all in itself.
All right, so let's look at this. We've got a potential, we have the ring of fire around the Pacific from volcanoes. We got a whole nother ring of fire almost setting up from and Latvia, Estonia. Russia wants to take all these things up in the Baltic Sea, go all the way down and around to Poland, Belarus. You can get down into Serbia. You get down into the island of Crete, with Turkey and Greece, with France involved. You come on down around. I mean, this goes. It's like an art. You come down into Syria. You come down into Saudi Arabia with the Yemens. You go down to Iran. You go around to Pakistan and India and China, and back up around to China and Vietnam, China and Taiwan, China maybe in the Philippines, China and the Senkaku Islands, North Korea. I mean, holy smoke! There's a whole ring of fire around Asia right now, going right in the middle of Europe. It's a whole ring of fire where we got hot spots, any one of which could set off a World War III.
Yeah.
But even if it's a limited conflict between just Pakistan and India, they both got nukes. Now, somebody pointed out in the chat room that India could take over Pakistan. That's true. But
I'll be right back, Greg.
For that, sure, go ahead. For that reason, Pakistan is prepared to fire their nukes because that's the only way they see they can survive an onslaught from the Indian forces. So Pakistan is on the hair trigger to fire their nukes. And of course, India would respond. And if this happens, they have enough weapon systems there that it could severely damage our ozone winter and put us in ozone layer, the ozone, and which led in a lot of ultraviolet, which could give you skin cancers, destroy crops, and we could see a very significant global cooling, like the year without a summer when the volcano Toba went off back in 1816, causing a year without a summer that precipitated into, I think, 1817. Where there was frost in July in many places, the Northeast, and we starved to death. That's why people went to the Midwest from Northeast a lot. And it was an awful, awful occasion. Even in Alabama, we had a frost in July that year. You could have situations like that, major crop disruption, major hunger, the supply chains. Look at all the supply chain issues we're having in the world right now. Now, just imagine this whole ring of fire erupts. You're going to shut down global trade. I mean, everything in the East China Sea and the South China Sea, everything going around through the Strait of Malacca and Indonesia, the Strait of Hormuz, the Suez Canal, probably even the Panama Canal, because they're going to get into over there, and there's a lot of Chinese forces in that area. We're going to see global trade completely shut down. The supply chains will just evaporate. The supply chains will shatter globally. What you got's all you got. You may have an EMP event. And so, guys, I would say prep right now. Get whatever you can. Get seeds.
Prep with Greg's.
Get seeds. Yeah. Well, you can go to my links to my Truth Market for Seeds. I'm going to put some other. I got another seed company I'm dealing with too now. I'll be posting them soon. And go to go to prepwithgregs.com. You get this long-term food storage, get the rice, get the beans, and learn the wild edibles. But you're really going to need stuff that's portable, because you need to set up some cache somewhere in case you have to bug out or throw stuff in your. Hey, this kind of stuff I just showed you is the most portable long-term food storage you're going to find anywhere. I mean, it's the easiest stuff in the world to bug out with. But just make sure you watch my video about how to purify and sanitize water, which are two different things, Mr. Dave Hodges out there in the internet world. He's got channeling 100 times bigger than mine. You don't seem to understand that.
Hey, Greg, not to plug my own channel, but I've also got two
I've been posting your channel in the chat room, by the way.
I've also got 2 videos on how to prepare for a famine. They're very succinct. Okay. They're very straightforward. Tells you the basics on what you need to know to prepare for a famine and some of the most affordable ways to do it. Okay. I've also got another video on how to prepare for a catastrophic release of dioxin on the water supply or on the soil. Okay. And how to basically treat your water if it has been contaminated with dioxin, or how to treat your soil if it has been contaminated with dioxin. Now there's a video in my channel regarding that. And right now what we're seeing is a potential global contamination event with the meat supply. And I'm about to make a video regarding that I'm gonna probably release it tomorrow. But there's, you want to know why your meat has gone up in value or gone up in price so much. I'm about to explain to you why, okay, and why so many people, and why is the government all of a sudden talking about Alzheimer's, and why is there going to be a very big increase in Alzheimer's in the near future. I also break that down in the video I'm about to make. I'm about to post that video tomorrow, so stay tuned for that as well. If you want to see those videos, you want more information like regarding those kinds of issues, subscribe to my channel as well. Uncommon News 777. Okay, so yeah, Greg, back to you.
Yeah, very good. I've got a nuclear bug out video too, and I'm looking for it here, but trying to scan for nuclear and through my chat room. But yeah, I'm putting in the right words. I'm getting my other regular bug out video coming up. I've got a SHTF Safe Zone bug outs video, which pops up top, but there's also a video about nuclear. So I'm just going to scan the word nuclear alone. I'll share it in the chat room if I find it, because this may be what you need. You need all this bug out information, but nuclear and volcanic winter prepping, that's not it. I'm gonna have to look for it. Dadgummit. That is not the one that I had in mind. So okay, so I got in the nuclear topic a couple times for prepping. So I did talk about nuclear and volcanic winter prepping, just for that kind of a deal. But I've also got a what to do in a nuclear holocaust. I might find it while we're chatting here. I might find it in some other chat rooms here. I'm glad you got those kind of videos. I have shared your channel. I'm hoping folks are going there and subscribing. I see your channel's growing. You've got a few more.
It definitely has, yeah. Since the last time I was on your channel, has grown by, I think, like 150 subscribers. So yeah, I definitely appreciate it.
I think tonight you might see another big plus up like that. I hope you do. So folks, Doug's got a lot of good information. He's putting out information that the platform is probably not going to be super appreciative of. So
well, they've already throttled some of my videos. A couple of my videos have gone from like 150, 200 views to like all the way down to 75 views. There's one of the videos, I can't remember which one, it had almost 200 views with like 15 likes, and then it went down to 75 with like 5 likes. And that was really the thing that got me to start making a lot more videos, because it didn't, it emboldened me, because it told me was that I'm striking a nerve with the powers that be. And so I just decided to just fight harder than I ever had before. So I just started to make a lot more videos after that. So yeah, but if it wasn't for Greg, I wouldn't have gotten so many more subscribers, because you had me on for my ESG, for the debut of the ESG Blitzkrieg documentary that I made, which basically lays out how our oil infrastructure and our fuel has been sabotaged by Marxists for the last 9 months. And you want to know why the price of gas has gone up so much. It has nothing to do with OPEC. It has everything to do with Biden and everything, all his mandates that he has placed against the oil industry. And it's not just that, but it's people at Davos, the World Economic Forum, I don't know if I could say that, WEF, that have essentially been embedding their ESG operatives into the oil industry to essentially force the oil industry to make themselves go out of business. Okay, they're forcing the oil industry to invest into quote unquote green technology, which essentially would replace oil. So they're forcing they're getting their ESG members onto the boards of these companies to essentially make them spend their own money on coming up with green technology and green initiatives to make them go out of business. So you want to know why your gas has gone up so much and why it will go up so much. That's one of the reasons why, that and what's going on in the Middle East. So if you want to find out more about that kind of stuff, that's why you want to go check out my channel. So
yeah, I think I just accidentally closed my chat room here on my main computer, so I got to go back over there. Wait a minute, I see what I did. I hit an error on it. So I'll get back there in a second because I want to share this. That's not it. How come it's not coming up? Hang on a minute. That's odd. Usually the live sessions come right up. That is not it. That's not doing what I want to. Hang on a minute, guys. I'm going to share with y'all this particular video that I'm trying to get to you. I just found it. Now I find the live chat. Gosh, wow. Sometimes this thing's a pain. So I'm gonna have to mute the sound. It's muted. Very good. Okay, good. So here I'm gonna share the nuclear bug out video. Everybody should watch that. Make sure you see this. Nuclear bug out and safe zone shelters to survive the apocalypse. Now I go into a lot of details in there about radiation types, and how to shield them, about shelters that you can make and improvise, things you need to do to survive in places you would want to be in a bad situation like that. So this video goes into a lot of detail that could save your life. So be sure to check it out, my friends. This is the kind of stuff you need to know. And also, I believe Judy shared one of your videos here a minute ago, Doug. So my mods are also sharing your stuff, which is grand.
Well, I definitely appreciate it. I want to give a shout out to two people that came over to my channel from yours. One of them is Mist Dragon.
Yeah.
Thanks for the subscription. I really appreciate it. I hope that I bring you some good content. I hope you appreciate it. And then the other person would be Josephine Haley. Hi, Josephine Haley. Thank you for subscribing to my channel. I likewise, I hope that I bring some content for you that is appreciative. So thanks for subscribing to my channel. Thank you.
All right, now I'm sharing my regular bug out video. So I just shared links to 2 bug out videos in my my chat room here. So I hope that will help people. So I got 2 different bug out videos. I put the links to Doug's channel in here, and anybody else is free to go ahead, and any of the other mods is free to put more links to Doug's channel in here, or videos you find on there, or my videos. That girl says, Doug channels, one more time, please, and thank you. So let me scroll back up to where I had cut that and pasted it. I found it. So, oh shoot. You know what I hate is that when you paste stuff in, they cut it short, you know, on the notes. So it's like a hyperlink, but they don't show the whole thing. So I'm not going to have the whole text in here. Let's see. Yeah, I can still come back and do it. Hang on, guys. I just got to retype it. Bear with me a second there while I retype Doug's title here. Guys, this is Doug's YouTube channel. Everybody go in and check it. Drops is telling me to make a phone call. I'm planning to do that. Anyway, so there we go. So not convenience. I don't know what Drops is talking about there. Drops saying not convenience. With it, Miss Dragon, you're welcome. Finally, someone who said my name right. Miss Dragon. There we go. Good to see you in here. So I really appreciate it. Hey, you got a lot of good people in here. I really appreciate that. Ken Wilson, Susie Q, silica. I found a plant horsetail supplement I just got in the spring water. High silica. Yeah, that's really good for you for a lot of things. I think I talked.
Yeah, that horsetail is really good for helping get rid of aluminum. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and there's somebody else that did a whole video on horsetail. Has been banned from YouTube completely.
Is that right? I believe it. I've got about a pound of it in my cupboard right now. It's, you know. Yeah.
Well, he created Brighteon, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. Mr. Adams, yeah.
Mr. Adams. So, all right, you got some subscribers coming in. Sheila said she just subscribed.
Yeah, definitely appreciate it. Yeah, and then I got Chris Morgan and Ungrateful Peasant. That's it. So, yeah.
All right, so you had 549. I'm going to do a refresh on your page here and see what you're up to right now.
I think it's 570 something now.
582.
Now, oh wow!
You know, I had Cowboy Roy Rogers on, and boy, he was up a whole lot. And then I went back later, and it was down. I think YouTube wiped out some of them.
Wow.
So you kind of watch it. They might do that. And so everybody, if you subscribe, come back in a day or two later. Make sure you're still subscribed, because the platform, is somewhat adverse to people putting out things that is somewhat different from their favorite discussion items.
Right.
How do we say that nicely with a slap?
Yeah.
All right. Pretty plan, actually. I don't know what your plan about me. I says Cindy Lou. And I got lots of hair, says OL Ryder. Well, hey, I wouldn't know anything about that. All right. So let's see. There's no Fuji water in it. We're talking Fiji. What are we talking? Fiji water. Fiji. So we got fiddlesticks in the room. That's a title I love, fiddlesticks, because that was, I used to hear the old timers used to always, well, fiddlesticks, when something wouldn't go right. And I hadn't heard that term in years, and suddenly somebody pops up with the username fiddlesticks. And I just thought I loved seeing that. Let's see. Daniel Twitt said I subbed to Doug. All right, that's very good. So Doug's got a lot of interest in the. Oh yeah, lady Diana Polk has said the same. So I suppose you're subbed.
I appreciate it. The next video I'm about to release is going to be pretty significant. It's about a topic that nobody's really talking about. You want to know what they're really spraying up in the sky and what it's responsible for. I go into I dive into that topic, and what I have discovered is very very disturbing, to say the least. I'll give you a hint. Okay, let's just say the most prevalent industrial waste, okay, and is called dioxin. Okay, and two of the only ways to get rid of dioxin is by ozonation or UV radiation. One of the things that you can, one of the areas on Earth that have a lot of ozone and a lot of UV radiation is the ozone layer. Okay.
Right. Now, what does it do to ozone?
But what does it do to ozone? It destroys the ozone. And what happens when you destroy the ozone? The radiation
down here, it destroys crops.
The radiation from the sun gets through the ozone layer, and it causes a lot of damage to the crops. Okay. And it also causes health problems in humans. Primarily, one of the things you'll start to notice an increase in is cataracts. Okay. You'll start to notice an increase in cataracts, and you'll start to notice an increase in skin cancer. And then one of the other things that it does is, if some of that dioxin finds its way back to Earth, it will get into the food that the animals eat. Okay. And dioxin causes a lot of problems in the genetic makeup of mammals. Primarily it, I'll just leave it at that.
Wasn't dioxin the main pollutant in the Love Canal?
Yeah. And it was the main ingredient in Agent Orange as well. So,
oh my gosh.
Yeah. So it causes a lot of genetic disruption. And I'll just leave it at that. If you want to find out more, make sure you stay tuned to my channel for the rest of that. Because I'm going to drop that episode probably tomorrow. And, you want to know why the beef prices have gone up so much. I go over that in the video. There's a lot of the poultry, the cattle, pigs, and even the wild game. They're all starting to have a lot of viruses and diseases. And when I say viruses and diseases, I literally emphasis on the quotation marks here, guys, because a lot of the problems that these animals are having are very similar to what would occur if they were poisoned with dioxin. So just, stay tuned for tomorrow's episode, because
insects to proliferate and attack forest. I just did a video where I'm talking about forest, and I'm saying insects don't attack healthy plants. They tell us the forest is dying because of the pine beetles. No, pine beetles are attacking because the forest is already sick. The plants are already weak, and that's what happens. So, yeah. So we got a full frontal assault against us in so many dimensions and so many areas. The best thing I can say is grow your own food. Get stuff you can grow indoors too. I'm just building a building to grow mushrooms in. At least it's got a metal roof on it, and that'll be UV proof. And so I'll be growing mushrooms. I'm growing microgreens in a trailer. So that's indoors too. You can grow them in your living room. I've got videos where I tell people how to grow them in glass will stop some UV to some degree. So if you build a glass greenhouse, I mean, even plastic might help some, but glass definitely it can help a little bit. There's a lot of things you can do.
If I may, I mean, I don't normally tell people to do this, but you'll have to do the research on your own regarding this. I've done the research, okay, but one of the things that helps your DNA to withstand poisoning from dioxin, and to dioxin can also be destroyed by ethanol. Okay, so obviously ethanol is alcohol that you can consume, but xanthohumol, okay, xanthohumol is a chemical that is found in hops, okay, and what it does is it actually helps to reverse the effects, at least according to a lot of studies, and you can look this up on your own. Go to google.scholar.
So you're telling people to drink beer?
Well, there's also non-alcoholic beer, or you can go buy xanthohumol tablets by itself.
Yeah, non-alcoholic beer would make me sick.
If you're gonna drink, if you're gonna do it by drinking beer, you're gonna want to get an IPA. Okay, you're gonna want to get an IPA because the IPAs are very high in hops. Okay, they have a lot of hops. I don't typically drink, okay, but because of the amount of spraying that has been going on recently, I'm just telling you what I'm doing, okay. So you do what what you decide, but if you do drink beer, I would recommend that you switch over to an IPA because it has the beneficial effects of increased amount of xanthohumol. All right, so xanthohumol spelled with an X. Okay, so you want to find out more information, go ahead, xanthohumol, look that up on your own. But like I said, I'm gonna post that video tomorrow. And
somebody asked what time. I had a viewer ask what time are you going to post it. They want to see it before you take them down.
Well, you can download the video, repost it, re-upload it. I'm not doing this for money. I'm not doing this for fame. If you want to download the video and repost it to your channel, I would actually ask you to do that because I expect this kind of thing to be taken down. I will probably upload it sometime after 5 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow. Okay, so after 5 p.m. Eastern time, because I want, when people get off of work tomorrow, I want them to see my video in their feed. Okay, so that's probably when I'll post it.
Very good.
So yeah,
very good. So yeah, I'm very limited in how much alcohol I can drink. Like maybe a couple of beers.
Yeah, but
it hits me that like the next day my heart will go to the races. I am pretty intolerant to having very much alcohol.
Yeah, that's understandable, but
a little bit, but
it's also it's also part of prophecy. They said in the end time, they will say protect the wine and protect the oil. So you could consider beer essentially as a wine. So
that and olive oil,
and it's not just that, but the resveratrol from wine. The resveratrol in wine has there's a lot of studies regarding the cough, the cough that everybody's experienced for the last 2 years. There's a lot of research regarding resveratrol and how it blocks the
really?
Yes, yeah, it blocks the spiky thing, the spiky proteiny. I got to be careful what I say.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Resveratrol is an ingredient in wine. And
Waylon Act says legalized vodka. I think it's already legalized.
Yeah, don't we have what's it called, the 21st Amendment or something?
Hey, if you go to Moscow, it's a requirement. I went to meet with Rock Cosmos and a company there called Inky. The company Inky builds the deep space probes for the Russians. and included the one that landed on Venus. And I was just impressed to take a developer probe. So I got to meet people that built a probe that landed on Venus, and have, I rode around and bus them through around Moscow with one of those guys, one of the lead principal investigators on that experiment. And I was just like thrilled to death that I could just sit there and just chat with them like you and I sitting on, where we're sitting together in the back of the van, And so I had a lot of FaceTime with him, and I really got a kick out of that. I've done a lot of space stuff over the years, but somebody that put a probe on Venus, where it's hot enough to melt lead, twice as hot as soldering iron, and this stuff actually sent pictures back. It's like, oh my gosh, this is just awesome. But I knew I had to practice before I went there, taking some shots of vodka, because I knew it would be required, and I wanted to make sure I could do it. Hey, Jack Daniels is one thing, but vodka, that's fuel.
I really do believe that ethanol is going to save mankind. I truly believe it. Ethanol, we've got so many different things that is okay. So with hops, you've got xanthohumol. With wine, you've got resveratrol, and then straight up ethanol. You can turn any gasoline engine into an ethanol engine, and that produce. I mean, people that are worried about carbon emissions, quote unquote carbon emissions. Ethanol has like zero carbon emissions. All you got to do is change out the spark plugs and change out the jet inside of the fuel fuel injector.
Do you need smaller bores in the jet or bigger bores?
I think it's better. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a mechanic, but I think it's a bigger jet. I think you need. I believe you need spark plugs that burn a little bit hotter, and you need to change the. I think you need to change the timing to be a little bit slower, and I think you need to increase the jet size. I could be wrong on that, but I know it produces. You go down to get your emissions checked. They're going to be like, there's no emissions from this exhaust. What is that? But that's one of the things that Biden did. Biden when he the first day in office, he banned tuning engines. Did you know that? I think he banned you're not allowed to you're not allowed to tune your engine. You're not allowed to performance tuners in engines. It's not allowed now. You get fined. Yeah. So if you want to turn your car if you want your car to run off of pure ethanol, like pure 100% ethanol, you're not allowed to do it now. EPA can fine you, even though you'd be essentially, by their standards, helping out the environment.
We got a term for that here in the South. Kiss my grits.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. But what's not subject to those regulations? 49cc moped scooters, 49cc engines. They're not regulated. So if you want to circle around the increase in gas price and all that stuff, go ahead, get yourself a 49cc scooter. Okay, get it tuned. And then go down to the ABC store, get some Everclear, and start running your scooter off of Everclear. You probably get 150 mile per gallon. So.
Well, here's what everybody needs to know too. They eventually are going to shut down all petrol fuels.
Yeah.
That is the goal of this administration. In fact, they want to have that done in 9 years. Within 9 years, you won't be able to go to a gas station and buy gas. All these vehicles you bought, well, they got that. Well, you can buy an electric motor and put in it or something like that.
That's right. That's what they want. Yeah.
They're already talking about that. Replacing the motors in your current vehicles.
The new infrastructure bill had $12 billion in that new infrastructure bill for green energy. They had $7 billion to construct a bunch of charging stations across the United States. And then there was $5 billion to purchase electric school buses. Okay, so you could see this is obviously market manipulation. They're trying to force the markets to go a certain way, right? And Greg knows all about what'll happen if our nuclear power plants run out of diesel. We could see some serious problems. You talk about prophecy coming fulfilled. The waters would definitely turn bitter if the nuclear power plants don't have enough diesel for those generators to pump water into those.
You will be. That's when the pale rider rides.
That's right.
It will be death.
Wormwood. The prophecy of Wormwood. Yeah.
The only thing with alcohol, make sure. There's a lot of carburetors that can't handle it, especially on your tools. So I don't know how we're going to operate chainsaws. Well, of course, they want you to have electric chainsaws. They want, California banned gas-powered leaf blowers. So you know how you
And
gonna replace
lawnmowers.
a steel chainsaw with an electric chainsaw and go out in the forest? Give me a break. You know, they are being ridiculous. Yeah, we're in for it, guys. We're in for some troubles. I mean, it's going to cause our whole country to rip apart, and the electrical infrastructure is antiquated, outdated, and it's just not up to providing all this energy through our grid. And then you take the grid down, and you don't have nothing. Well, guess what? Keep them old gas guzzler engines, convert them to burn wood gas or alcohol. Wood
That's
gas
right.
or alcohol. If you got a diesel, you can do biodiesel.
Biodiesel, that's right.
I mean, I got a diesel bus and I got a diesel tractor. And, you know, even the MP, that tractor is going to run my old gas burner 76 C30. It'll run. I won't be able to buy gas for it, but I could put a big burner on the back of it and convert it to wood gas. Just throw wood chips in it. Kind of be like an old steam train, you know.
Yeah.
You know, have somebody back there shoveling wood chips in as it's going down the road.
You know, I really think, you know, I'm going to talk primarily about Freedom Restoration Foundation a little bit. And what I think we as a community really need to focus on. I really think that if we focus on these three key things here, I think we could have some major victories in the United States. The three rights that I strongly believe we need to get into our Constitution: the right to grow our own food, okay, the right to raise our own food, animals, and then the right to modify our own property. If we could get those three rights somehow in our Constitution, either on a local basis or on a national basis, I think we would make some very serious headway in the fight against these technocrats that are trying to take over the world. But yeah, you know, they want to run a monopoly on our food, and that's you know, fruits and vegetables, and then they want to run a monopoly on our meat, right? So that's why I said right to grow and right to raise, and then right to modify. They don't want us to modify our own vehicles right now. You know, those vehicles, who do those vehicles belong to us, or do they belong to the government? Right? If it's our property, we should have the right to modify it. Okay.
Exactly.
Whether or not their agenda that comes from Davos or whatever.
Give them those kind of rights. There's
Exactly.
rights left to the people. Anything not enumerated in the Constitution, it's left to the states and people according to the Constitution in the Ninth Amendment. In the Ninth Amendment, it says that clearly. They act like the Ninth Amendment does not exist. Well, it does, and we got to start claiming the Ninth Amendment, people. The Ninth Amendment is our amendment in the Constitution of the United States. It is ours, and we got to own it, claim it. And the 10th Amendment is for the states, the 9th Amendment is for us, guys.
That's right.
And you know, they act like it's not there. Nobody talks about the 9th Amendment. That is the one that says, government, stand back. You're outside of your bounds of your authority. You have gone too far, and they're going too far. They're not permitted to do these kind of things, and we just got to stand up to it. We got to stop it. You know, just because you pass a law doesn't mean it's legal.
That's right.
I mean, how can you pass a law that circumvents the Constitution, which requires an amendment to change? An amendment requires 2/3 of the states to ratify it. You know, so they're acting like little laws, or even agencies of the federal government will pass a regulation by a bureaucrat that's unelected, and that they think is law. And a lot of these regulations are anti-constitutional. Many of them, maybe most of them. The federal government is way outside of its britches with what it's doing. That's and right. So, you know, so we got enemies abroad and we got enemies domestically, and a lot of them are inside the Beltway. And I don't know where the most is. It might be inside the Beltway for all I know.
Well, I think a lot of them are over there in Davos, but
yeah,
they're getting their marching orders from a bunch of people who are the descendants of Nazis, and I mean that literally, not just figuratively. So
yeah. Well, we got our good friend Klaus Schwab.
Yeah,
he was taught by Lovelace, I believe. What's his name? The guy, the environmentalist guy who told us the world was going to burn up. And he actually,
Al Gore.
No, not Al Gore.
What was his name?
Lovelace, I believe. One of the key environmentalists. Yeah, you know. Of course, Al Gore.
Man, bear, pig.
Al Gore invented the internet, so it's
Yeah, right, yeah. Well, no, I mean they're literally they're trying to create a self-fulfilling prophecy. You know, they're trying to destroy the ozone layer and telling us that that the world is going to burn up and but yeah. Meanwhile, they're the ones that are destroying the ozone layer.
On you.
Yeah, right.
That's who they're going to blame it all on.
That's right.
And it's not you and me.
And the majority of people are going to run to them for the answers because they don't know what the heck is going on. So that's why they need to subscribe to your channel and subscribe to my channel.
The news media is out there constantly. It's your fault. It's your fault. It's your
right.
fault. We're all going to die.
And that's another thing. The Bible
everybody's going to die because you breathe.
In the end, okay, neighbor is going to turn against neighbor. Okay.
That's what they want.
So that's the main reason why I always end my videos with help out your neighbors. Okay. If your neighbor does well, then you will do well also, because if your neighbor is not ready for what's coming and you are, then when your neighbor is in need, they're going to come to your house. They're going to ask you for hospitality. And if you're not willing to give them hospitality, they're going to just take whatever you've got. Okay. So if you start helping your neighbor now, all right, you're going to be much better off than if you never started helping your neighbor.
Okay. I'm gonna point something out. I did a tool getting video where I went to Lowe's and I bought like $1,200 worth of garden tools. A whole lot of the same tools, hose. And you see me going to flea markets all the time looking for hose and and looking for shovels, basic manual garden tools. It kind of will work with no power grid, kind of muscle power. I bought enough to cover not just myself, but my neighbors. That was the whole intention. I was buying gardening tools from my neighbors. I got tons of seeds, I got more seeds than I could deal with. Why? Because I got neighbors. I might not be able to feed them all directly, but I could help them feed themselves. And I can take my neighbors out here in the woods behind and say, look, here's what we can eat.
That's right.
We can strip these trees. We can eat the cambium layer, the inner bark. There's the weeds in your yard are edible. This stuff you're spraying Roundup on to kill. You should kill the grass. Get rid of the grass. The grass is the enemy. It's not the dandelion. The dandelions and the weeds you're trying to wipe out. The plant.
Right.
That's the only thing that should be in your yard.
That's what one of the, as far as Roundup is concerned, I want to tell your audience, consider getting some amaranth seeds. Okay. And especially amaranth that grows locally in your area. What I have found at least in the area that I live is that amaranth is very resilient. Okay. Regarding Roundup, I will see the city spray the side of the road. Okay. A couple species of amaranth might wither away and die, but there are some species of amaranth, there's over 70 species of amaranth. Okay. And there are some species of amaranth that when they spray amaranth on it, or when they spray Roundup on it, it does not affect them at all. Okay. So if you can go out and you can locate those species and grow them in your backyard or in your ranch or wherever you grow them along the power line somewhere, you want those species to do well in your area, because amaranth can be eaten by any kind of animal that you might raise. Okay. Rabbits eat it, chickens eat it, horses, donkeys, sheep, humans can eat it. I got amaranth grown in the backyard, and one of my plants produced 3 ounces of seed. And that was just on the first, the first harvest. There's two harvests.
I grow as a microgreen in my trailer. It's one of the plants you grow indoors.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
You want some potted amaranth to make seeds. So you grow some amaranth in pots to make seeds, and you can plant a lot of those seeds as microgreens, and you can eat greens year round.
Yeah, exactly.
It grows a little small at first.
When they're really small seeds too. And when you get if you can get a gallon size bag of them, that's millions of seeds, guys. And when you use that as a microgreen, oh my gosh, a gallon bag of those seeds will last you forever if you.
You don't even need a little teaspoon to fill a tray up with them. I mean,
it's
sprinkle them very lightly on a 10 by 20 agricultural tray. And by the way, you can get amaranth seeds, you can get those trays and all the supplies to grow microgreens in all your garden stuff at True Leaf Market. Check the links in my videos to True Leaf Market. You know, the live videos, I don't usually put links on. I might on this one because we talked about it so much, but you will find them on most of the videos I upload, the uploaded videos. And they're usually got the, my uploaded videos usually have a thumbnail picture with some yellow letters on them, or I used to use white lettering a lot. Occasionally I'll throw in a few other colors, but that's what it usually is. So, yeah, here's what you need to know. If the grid goes down, farmers aren't going to be farming. Those tractors won't have any fuel. A lot of them these days even require software loads to run. They won't run without a brand new software load. Every year their software expires. $1 million tractors. Now the older tractors don't have that, but they still got to have fuel. Without fuel, a lot of them aren't going to run. Now some of the farmers might be able to make biodiesel, but you know, by and large, the fields are going to be laying fallow. The farmers won't know what to do with them, or the landowners won't. The farmers and landowners are not always one and the same. But what you could do is go to the landowners and say, hey, look, I'd like to share crop your land. And you know, the old sharecropping arrangement used to be that somebody provided the land. They usually gave you a home too, but not always. They gave you the land, you grew on it, and you gave them typically half the crop. Now it might be a little bit less than half if you know you're not staying there. But depending on what your range is, you can negotiate with even people in their yards in a lot of places, because a lot of people don't know how to grow. So say, hey, let me grow in your yard. I can grow garden in your yard, and I'll give you a portion of the food that we grow. I'll give you half of it, maybe even 3/4, so they won't take everything. So you make sure you get something out of it, and then teach them how to do it. That keeps them from eating you and gives you a little something. But these fields, the people can go out in these fields and start sharecropping these fields. So what you need is lots of seeds and lots of manual tools, and that's one of the best ways to prep. So go to my link to True Leaf Market below, and I'll put some other seeds in the future, links in the near future. But that is one thing you can do to grow your food.
And that's one of the things I'm doing out here in the desert as well. I met a guy that has property up in the Upper Valley along the Rio Grande, and he's allowed me to bring a bunch of chickens down there. And I'm planning on bringing a bunch of Navajo Churro sheep to his ranch. And it's a mutual beneficial relationship. You know, he needs somebody to, you know, help give him money so that he can watch and maintain the animals. And he's also allowing me to grow amaranth down there. So, you know, I'm growing some very special amaranth. His entire field is already a bunch of local amaranth. Some of it's, you know, not so desirable. It's got thorns and thistles on it. But my amaranth, you know, I could just literally bring a scythe down there, harvest all the amaranth if I want. Or, you know, he said I could grow sorghum down there. I could grow whatever I want down there. Just gave me a little plot, and it's, you know, $25 a month for, you know, an acre. And he's got 30 acres. So, I mean, it's, you know, it's a win-win. So, you know, if you go out there and you just go and try to meet the people in your community and see if you guys can work with each other, they'll let you, you know, work their land essentially. And a lot of times, you know, if you've got animals at your house, and
well,
there's
right now, you're talking about right now, and you can do that right now. A guy I interviewed on my channel, Curtis Stone, used to make a living that way, farming his neighbors' yards. But he moved out in the mountains, because he went from becoming an urban farmer to the SHTF farmer. But but he had a book called Urban Farming. I got it around here somewhere. But he you know, he's an amazing guy. He does a lot of good stuff. So that's what you can do right now. But what I'm saying is, once the grid's down, these farms aren't going to nothing. They're going to be fallow. You're going to have millions and millions of acres of fallow land. The farmers aren't going to know what to do with it.
But you ought to get to know those people now.
Yeah, bingo. You ought to do that. Start meeting them. Yeah. And there's
one of the ways you can do is go into flea markets. That's how I met the rancher. I met him at a flea market. You meet a lot of people at flea markets.
I bought my bus at a flea market. That's the biggest thing ever. The most expensive thing I ever bought at a flea market was a bus. Yeah. So imagine that. Who would think about that, huh? And wrong.
Is it diesel? Does it run off of diesel?
Yes.
There you go.
Diesel, got air brakes. I also got a C70 Chevrolet 2-ton with a 20-foot bed on it. It's got air brakes and an air horn. I love it's loud. It's not, that's a gas burner though. And believe it or not, it's actually got a little bit smaller engine than my 1-ton truck.
I believe it.
I got a 454 in my 1-ton truck. That's 7.5 cubic liter engine, but it only gets 6 miles a gallon. That's a gas horn.
Yeah, right. I'm looking at a bike that's made from a company in California called Helio. Has a Honda engine in it. It gets 150 miles per gallon. I'm looking at getting one of those soon. It's $2,000. So
Be Spooky said, found my wife at a flea market. Hey guys, when I'm getting done with the farmers market, next Saturday is my last farmers market for the season. You'll be seeing me more at the flea market after that. So who knows? Maybe I'm finding a wife there too.
You never know what you'll find.
You never know. That's the amazing thing about the flea market. You never know what you're going to find. It's like a box of chocolates.
You know, I actually found an old percussion muzzle loader pistol a couple weeks 2 weeks ago for $60. They thought it was fake. It's real. Let me show it to you. Hold on a second.
Okay. Now we've been talking about as well.
Take a look at this. If anybody in your audience knows what this is, what make and model, there's no marks on it.
Beautiful.
Nothing. But it's all brass.
Right.
It was on the Texas-Mexico border. Percussion. It works. It works.
Yeah, I can hear the flat springs inside. Don't dry snap it too many times, but they use flat springs to inside.
Yeah, there's no markings on it at all, but the whole thing is brass, even the barrel. The barrel.
It's beautiful.
No markings.
I wouldn't load it down with a heavy powder charge.
No, not at all. But it will take a charge.
Oh yeah,
for sure. Has a
ramrod.
Has a ramrod in it. Yep, everything. I think it came from the other side of the border, but there's no mark. There's no name, no make, no model, nothing.
Yeah, it probably came from the other side, man.
I think it came from the other side, but yeah, $60. They thought it was fake. I could tell you right now, the thing is real.
That's not fake. You can tell that by the nipple on the where you put the percussion cap.
Yeah, right
that's real. It's definitely real.
Yes,
They even got a notch on the hammer for the smoke notice. Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, you never know what you'll find at a flea market. Maybe even your wife.
Your life. Right. Well, okay. We went from doomsday to finding a wife at the flea market.
I don't know how we ended in that direction, but all right.
Pretty amazing.
But, yeah. So anyways, Greg, it's always great talking with you. I really appreciate you having me on the show. And yeah, definitely if you want to do it anytime, just keep in mind, if you ever have me on your show, just keep in mind it'll probably get demonetized.
Yeah, well, I'm not even going to try to monetize this, because if I do, I'm going to get some strikes from YouTube, and they'll harass me for the next several times I post. Well, for about 2 months. Once they disagree with how you rate something, they will slow everything you post down. They will harass you. They'll flag everything for be unmonetized for like months.
Yeah. So guys, hit that super chat if you appreciate this live stream. If you appreciate this live stream with Greg and with me, help him with that super chat, because this one's definitely not going to get monetized. Stuff I talk about is not allowed, so I definitely skirt the line. So I apologize for that, Greg. Hopefully your audience can make up for that.
We have used verboten language. You can't talk about nugs.
Yeah.
Well, the other way around. That's why I use the code word nug. I try to use code words not to talk about these things directly.
Yeah.
So we're out here talking makes and models. That's definitely verboten in their lingo.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway,
so hit that super chat button, even if it's $1, $2. Yeah, well,
super chats. I appreciate that. I really do. So I got some of the best followers in the world here.
Yeah,
best
for sure.
subscribers. And we got a cadre of people that come into the chat room a whole lot. So I really appreciate them. We're all like family here. And Greg Grimm, a lot of people will be hurting without fertilizer. Let me scroll that back down. Was that just what I was saying? I'll try my best to take care of my soil. Lay me into that, but also watch my videos about worm castings. And you can do compost. You can do composting. Use worm castings. I don't buy any chemicals from my garden. None. All my stuff comes from my worm farm. I use worm tea, worm castings. I might occasionally get some bacteria Genesis, but I'm going to start making some other solutions to take care of that too, and I'll cover that in the future. And I might even sell some of these things. I might be able to ship. Worm tea is not good for a long period of time, so I've not been shipping it. But I might one day ship worm castings and maybe stuff where you can make your own worm tea. I might ship some locally. All right, so we got a couple. Well, I'm going to set up a farm in Arizona. So when I do that, I'll be able to ship from both sides of the country. So that will really expand what I can do for shipping.
What, if you don't mind me asking, what do you plan on growing in Arizona?
Worms.
Worms? Oh, okay. Well, there's a lot of stuff that'll grow out there that is very, very, very good for agricultural purposes. You've got the prickly pear cactus, sotol, yucca. Sorghum grows out there. Sotol is probably one of the best because it's the most nutrient dense grain in the world, as far as I'm aware. It's superior as far as its protein content. You should try to grow sotol. See if you could do it, because that's one of the things.
Send me some sotol seeds. What did I do with those? Yeah, you sent me some.
I did that. Yeah, that was the first thing I sent you was sotol seeds. I went up on the Franklin Mountains to find those seeds for you, Greg. Yeah, you ought to grow.
Will they grow here?
Probably, yeah. Probably. The bread that you make out of sotol seeds, it lasts a very long time, especially in a humid environment, an arid environment. Okay. So it has a longer shelf life. It's very nutrient dense. It's high in protein. But the thing is, nobody grows it. Nobody grows it. You can grow it out in the desert. Okay. And the base of that plant, the heart of that plant, it's like this big. Okay. And if you bake it for an hour, a couple hours, it's like a potato, and it's so there's a lot of stuff you can do with that plant. The stalk grows real tall and straight. You can use it for indigenous construction material, all kinds of stuff. But we just don't take advantage of the resources that exist out here. These technocrats and the globalists, they say that we're overpopulated, but we're not even trying to take advantage of the resources that we have out in the desert. And we have a lot of resources out in the desert.
Well, I mean, cover a lot more of that when I get out there. But I will garden out there. I'm going to put up some greenhouses, and also plan to, there's a great aquifer where I'm going. It's not been drained by the big cities down to the south. It's got plenty of water in it. They say you can use it. I've taken showers in that water from that aquifer. I know it's good water. So, I will garden, and I might expand my turmeric and garlic operations out there. And I've only got so much room here, but I got 40 acres out there. I can do all kind of stuff. I might even give me some horses or something. But
you should think about getting donkeys, not horses. The donkeys, they do well out in the desert. They do much better out in the desert than the horses. They don't need as much water. Should think about.
And I'm also thinking of traveling back and forth, so I need to get somebody on site there. I'll have somebody on site here, and I just plan to travel back and forth, and have a kind of each side of Middle America. I did a video when I talked about how this country may divide, and the liberal areas would be and up in the east, northeast, and northwest, or the West Coast, and I referred to them as East and West Wokistan.
Well, yeah, I think
I said everything in the middle would be Indian territory. We're all
as far as secession, I think you'd probably see the southern territories would be primarily evangelical Christian, right? And then you'd have
you want to have mountain states, plain states, that all be going.
I think all
be together.
You could see the Hispanics try to sack some of the oil fields in Texas. That's a heck of an opportunity they might try to take advantage of. And then, obviously, yeah, the Democrats are going to take the Northeast and the West. And then I think what might throw a curveball
is East and West Wokistan. You might
I think what'll throw a curveball to a lot of people is the Somalis in Minnesota and in Washington. I think if there's a massive secession in the United States, I think the Somalis are going to take part of Minnesota, and I think the Somalis are also going to take part of Washington. Yeah. Wow. So yeah, but the Minneapolis is a very strategic location for the Mississippi. So. Yeah. Anyways, but that'll be another
an expression. If at first you don't succeed, try. So a little twist on Ben Franklin's old saying.
Yeah.
That's my little twist on it, by the way.
Yeah. Hey guys, if you're watching right now and you haven't already given this video a thumbs up, go ahead and smack that thumbs up.
Thank you.
If you're gonna do the thumbs down, make sure you hit it twice. Okay, make sure you hit that twice.
Yeah, and tell me why you did a thumbs down. We got 6 thumbs down in here already. I'd like to know what your beef is.
Yeah, probably something I said.
If you got some beef, share it with us. We all like some beef.
It's my fault, Greg. It's not your fault. Everybody loves Greg. Some people are gonna hate me, and I understand that.
I always get a thumbs down or two.
I'm pretty controversial.
Well, that's all right. Well, I think most people have really enjoyed having you on here. I've got a lot of people say, wow, Greg, you got a great guest. So once again, check out his channel. We've shared it several times here in the chat room. You can just scroll through the chat and find his channel link. Myself and Judy and some others have shared the chat room. I want to plant winter crop mustard greens. There you go. I've got some going outside right now. So yeah, there's a lot of things you can do, people. Just remember that. And Doug, I appreciate it. It's always informative. You're always fun to have on board. We always have interesting discussions.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I appreciate you letting me stay on this long.
Well, the audience has loved it. We've been engaged. We've had a lot of conversation. Hey, I got another super chat from Bernard. Thank you, Bernard. I guess it's $2 Australian. It's got $2. Where are you from, Bernard? Appreciate that. So Daniel says, gave a double click thumbs down. Daniel, you did that? Well, it went up to 7, so somebody.
Yeah, I guess somebody did.
Daniel just being a smart aleck. He's a good guy. He's a good friend.
Make sure you click it again.
He's a good friend, Daniel. Hey, Eric Court, $2. Hey, hello. Thank you, Eric. Appreciate it. Judell, it's been fun. Yeah, we have some fun here. I've had a lot of people, come on my video. They'll see one of my videos and go, "How you every day is gleaming damn fear mongering." Oh, look at my last video. I called it hopium. And what happens? Almost nobody looks at it. Almost nobody looks at it. You do a video about hope and inspiration. Nobody wants to watch it.
Yeah.
But there can be hope. Because I think in the end we win. It's just going to be a rough ride.
It is going to be a rough ride. That's right.
And we talk about things to do in here. Like I just posted links to my nuclear bug out. I've got my regular bug out or bug out, bug in. Really, it's more of a bug in when you got a nuclear event. But you need to know where to be at too. What are the bad areas to live in? What are the good areas? What's the relative differences? Right here, I got to worry about Browns Ferry being, 25, 26 miles away. That's one of the advantages to Arizona is there's no Browns Ferry anywhere around. So there's a lot of advantages out there. So I'll definitely look forward to getting that place going. It would probably be in the spring or summer before I can really manage to swing that.
Yeah, I look forward to it. I've been considering property out there in Arizona too. It's still quite affordable, and there is a lot of stuff you can grow out there. So, and you can, you can place a bet on the fact that nobody's going to be coming out to get what you got out if you're out in the middle of Arizona. So,
yeah, that's the beauty of it. There's very few people around there.
Yep.
So
nobody's going to risk wasting their gas to go get your cactus.
There you go. Yeah, that's well, it's one of the things I tell people to grow. If you're a prepper and you want a prepper garden, you don't want anybody to rate it, so you can grow tomato, you can grow hot peppers, turmeric, garlic. Nobody's going to sit down and make a meal out of any of those.
I grow sweet potatoes out here in my house.
Okay.
Yeah, I grow sweet potatoes in my house. Yeah.
I think a lot of that stuff you grow outside. If you got a little water, and I could always put a little shade cloth if they need it.
I grow it in the shade underneath an overhang on my porch. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can always use shade cloth. All right, Doug, it's been great. Appreciate it. We'll have to do this again. I think, the kind of topics we have and the kind of dynamic we have talking, as popular as this is, we might make this a fairly regular thing.
Just let me know.
And hopefully it'll boost your channel.
Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, definitely has.
And let's see, I'm going to go over and see what you're up to now in terms of subscriptions. You are sitting at, come on, just hit the refresh, but 603.
Oh, wow. Let me see.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yep. Wow. Yeah, definitely. Thanks a lot, guys. Really appreciate it.
I'm expecting that people will watch this video tonight, tomorrow. And so hopefully that number will keep percolating up.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm hoping for there. Anyway, I appreciate it, Doug. And I want to thank everybody that gave me a super chat tonight. We had a lot of awesome super chatters tonight. I really appreciate that. That really helps, because there's no way in God's green earth I could there's no way in God's green earth I could monetize this channel. This video
episode.
video. There's no way I could monetize this video. It might even get my channel in trouble, but there's no way I can monetize it. If I did, I would have all kind of problems with YouTube for months on it if I tried to, and they would still turn it down. So I know better than even trying. So the super chats really help, guys. It really does. And Valerie Max says, listening to the bearded ones. Hey, you had a beard too. There we go. Sign of wisdom. So Colorado Jen, do you plant sweet potatoes like you do regular potatoes? Yeah, pretty much. Some people actually plant them straight down and have a little bit up above the ground. You don't need to do that. You can put them underground. Well, I actually like to start the slips a lot of times in wood chips, and then
I've never tried that.
Do that. Plant a lot of them in wood chips, and just a good way to kind of get them started. Or sawdust, not wood chips. Sawdust is better. Or even I have had grown some that just grew out in the sawdust too. Alrighty, I appreciate that. This is my Arizona land. I'm starting to skyrocket. Yeah, I guess it's going up, but I got a good deal when I got it. So I want to thank all the super chatters. I want to thank all the mods. You've been busy here tonight. I want to thank everybody from coming in here and watching. All the views we got, all the thumbs up we got. And I think somebody's taking your double advice. I got 8 thumbs down now.
It was up to 9. I saw it was at 9, and then it went back down to 8. So.
Somebody thought they did it 3 times, so they probably, it's 2. 1, 2. All right, so, all righty. I really appreciate it. I just want to thank everybody that's been here, all the viewers. Hope you had a good time, and since they listened to us talk about gloom and doom, but we also had some good chat here too. But we're being realistic, guys, and there's no point in crying about everything. You got to just get a hold of yourselves and embrace whatever's coming and try to make the best out of it. Try to make the best out of the worst situation. You get lemons make lemonade. We got a very bad potential situation coming at us. It can be horrific, to be honest, horrible. But I believe we can survive it. But there ain't no point in crying about it and all that kind of stuff. You just deal with what comes. You just like Clint Eastwood said in the movie Outlaw Joseph Wells character. He says, when it get down to the fight, you just got to be mad dog mean. It's kind of like that. You got to deal with it. So but don't lose your head. Don't lose the sense of who you are. Don't lose your humor. But we can avert some. It's about helping your neighbor, as Doug said. Buy some extra tools, for them to garden with too. Buy some extra seeds. And what I tell people on my channel is, before we leave, I say, look, light dispels dark. Love dispels hate. Go out and shine your love light in the world. That's really the basic thing. Because person to person, that's not where the trouble's coming from. It's coming from those idiots around all these countries.
That's right.
People are people, though. Anywhere in the world. You can go to China, Russia. Hey, I enjoyed Moscow. I've dated girls from China, and you can go anywhere in the world and find good people. It's the governments that play us against each other. We're the pawns, like those poor people stuck on the border there in Belarus. they're pawns. They're being used in the worst way imaginable. Yeah. So it's awful thing there. Let's hope that there's a peaceful resolution. Let's hope and pray that somehow all this stuff diffuses and these bad things we're worried about here does not come to pass. That's what I hope. But if it does, and it very well can, with so many hot spots right now that we just talked about. We talked about many tonight. Many that could lead to World War III, or even a small regional nuclear exchange could devastate us. An EMP event could devastate us. I just did a video on drones that could take out our grid. There's so many things that could be done, guys. So on the bad side, but let's hope that we make it through. Hope and pray. But just get ready for yourself, your family. Go out and tell your loved ones you love them. Go out and hug a family member, a friend. Just make sure that they know you appreciate them. You may never get another chance. I nearly got wiped out in a car wreck back in April. I'm lucky to be here. And, so it makes me think it's really important to tell your loved ones you love them, because you never know. You might not get another chance, but you might. Just hope we all do. But just go out and do that. Shine your love light in the world. Prep, get ready, buy seeds, buy food, and just be ready for the worst. And nothing else. Right now with inflation, look, we just talked about inflation that could go Weimar. This is an investment. The inflation rates we have right now, food is a great investment, especially if it lasts a long time. That's why I promote prepwithgreg.com. It's just portable. It's very portable. I don't just sell anything on here. I sell stuff that I think is good product. Some people fuss about it, but I think it's good product. Anyway, yeehaw. Enough said about all that. I just want to thank everybody that's been here. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Super Chatters, again. And thank you again, mods. And everybody have a great night and go out and shine your love light into the world. So good night, y'all.